Well, Tim, thank you for joining me on Real Feel Insights. I appreciate you jumping on board with this. I'm excited. I'm very excited to see where this goes.
What an honor.
I think
This is amazing.
Yeah.
I love all of it. Yeah.
I think you're a very diverse individual with lots of different things you can kind of pull out of your hat.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about where did you grow up? Around this area, the central Minnesota?
Northern Minnesota and a little town called Fisher, Minnesota. And I graduated in the top 10 in my class, and there was only 18 of us, but it was it was awesome. I love small town, and I went to college and got married right out of college.
What'd your dad do?
He worked for the railroad in Burlington Northern Railroad, and Mom was the first female postmaster of Fisher, Minnesota, 56723. And so they were huge in the community, very embedded and very active, very respected in the community. And great place to grow up. And we moved here, and it was going to be a one-year gig. And
moved here because of job?
Yeah,
or
because
just,
of job.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a job, and my wife followed me for my job, which was really cool because we were at that stage. She went into business, and I went into law enforcement, and this opportunity came open, and I thought, and I was looking for a bigger city, probably not Minneapolis size, but like a Mankato size or something bigger.
Can I back you up just a little bit
course.
there? Law enforcement.
Yeah.
Why did you always want to go into that?
Yeah.
Because?
I don't know why, but even like before kindergarten, I knew I was going to be a police officer. It was a calling for me. And one of my first memories, my mom had an aunt that lived in Seattle, and we rode the Amtrak train out to Seattle every summer. And I remember looking on her, one of her tables, and there was a picture of a guy in uniform, and he was with the Washington State Police, and it was her son, so it'd be my mom's cousin.
Okay.
And I don't think I've ever even met the guy, but he had the Smokey Bear hat on, and he looked like amazing in his uniform.
Sure. Yep.
And that was my first real. We didn't come from a family of law enforcement. I had an older cousin that was a police officer, but that's my first memory. And I reconnected with my kindergarten teacher just a couple summers ago, and she told me that she remembered when in kindergarten that I would go around kind of enforcing the rules.
Oh.
And, the Vietnam War was still going on then. And so like if somebody put some Lincoln logs together or some Legos and made them look like a gun, I would say, hey, no guns.
Oh.
And I don't remember any of that.
Sure.
But she remembered that she said, I knew when you were in kindergarten, I knew you were going to be a police officer.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That is so amazing. And that you actually got connected again to her to be able to tell you that.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yeah. It was, and she's absolute sweetheart. And your typical kindergarten teacher, we were her first class.
So she was young at the time then. Okay.
Yeah. And so she remembered all of us, but yeah, so it was a calling for me, and it was a phenomenal, about 28 years total career. And
where'd you go to college at?
Morehead State.
Morehead State.
Yep.
You were
VMSUM. Go Dragons. And
Okay, and it was law enforcement. That was okay. That
criminal
was
justice.
Criminal justice.
And honestly, I didn't even know what a cop did on a regular basis until like my junior year, and I did an internship with the Fargo Police Department. And so it was 40 hours a week for 10 weeks. And that was like my first taste of what a police officer did on a daily basis. And it was phenomenal. The men and women of the Fargo PD were instrumental. Because otherwise, like my classes, the college courses were more geared towards sociology and psychology. And I didn't really know so what does a cop do on a daily basis? I didn't know. And so that was critical in forming me into being like what a cop does on a regular basis.
The day-to-day tasks that, and they were instrumental because they really exposed all the details.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were very generous with their time, and nobody wanted the intern, so like at the shift briefings, the sergeant would be talking to the officers, and then I'd just be standing in the back, and
Sure.
and they'd say, the sergeant would say, okay, who wants the intern? And everybody would avoid eye contact.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's like, you know, and then, but they were, once I got in the car with the officers, they were incredible. And
Okay.
I spent 2 weeks with the investigation unit, and the first day that I got in, they had just had a homicide. So so I got to be part of a homicide investigation from the beginning, and that was fascinating. And so, yeah, and I had this career of almost 28 years, 3 years in corrections and 25 in the agency that I worked with the most. And with all the ups and downs you would expect in law enforcement, it was phenomenal. And even the bad stuff I wouldn't trade for anything, because it helped me become who I am today. And but it was, I got to experience events that most people dream about or don't dream about, because they don't even know they exist. And I had a canine partner for 7 years, and hands down, out of those 28 years, those 7 years with my canine partner Quincy was amazing.
Okay.
And just the incidents that we covered together, and his brave attitude and his focus, and it's just like, it was incredible.
Yeah. So 7 years.
7
with
years
Quincy.
with Quincy boy.
Oh, Quincy
my dog.
boy.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
touching.
It was, and that's the stuff. When I wrote a book, and it came out last year, and when I was working on the book, I just write down like ideas for stories, and I easily had 100 stories of just Quincy, because he was bigger than life, and 92 pounds, purebred German Shepherd, gorgeous animal, and proud and courageous, and all of the things you'd want in a canine partner, and he was mine, you know, and we worked together, and we had 4 incidents where he like protected me. And and it was just, and so there were stories after stories of this, these amazing incidents that I worked with this, and I had amazing human partners too. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But my human partners would come to work sometimes, and they'd be like hungry, or they didn't want to be there, or they had an argument with their spouse, or whatever. You know, they're human things we're thinking about. But Quincy, it was. When I was out of the car, his eyes were following me. Where are you at?
100% of the time was your partner.
Yep. Where are you at, Dad?
Yeah.
And, it was,
Did Quincy ever have attitude?
Not with me.
Okay.
But once he got in the car, it was all attitude.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So like we could be playing in the yard. He lived with us at home, and our 3 kids, and he'd be just a dog in the yard.
Sure, interacting.
And then I had a button on my belt. I'd push the button, and his back door would open to the police car. And then he would run and get in the back seat of the car. I'd shut the door. And so we'd be playing, and then get in the car. And as soon as I sat in that car, if my wife came up to me and said goodbye, you know, or whatever, he'd start barking at her like, I'm going to rip your face off. He's mine. Back off. And she'd be like, oh, whatever, you know, and get all sassy. And I'm just like, well. But he was so loyal and so focused, and just
loyal. Yeah.
Incredible partner. Yeah.
What happened to Quincy boy?
We had to qualify every year at a competition to show that we were up to certain standards.
Sure.
And we went down to Alexandria in 2003, and it was about this time of year, summertime, and he was going to retire at the end of the year. He was 9, almost 10, and he did the best he'd ever done at any of the competition things. And we got home on a Tuesday night, and Wednesday he was kind of sluggish, and I thought, well, it's because it was really hot, you know, but he didn't eat Wednesday, didn't eat Thursday. And then Friday I finally brought him into the vet, and he said, something doesn't look right. And we need to get him down to the University of Minnesota Animal Hospital. And so we barely made it through the weekend. He was in rough shape. And So I scooped him up on Monday morning. I put him in the back seat of my police car. We drove down to the University of Minnesota, and the vet saw him, and he was full of cancer. And
Wow.
and the vet said, the treatment options, and we went through different things, but he said basically it's to maintain whatever quality of life he had at that moment. I said, well, his quality of life is working, and he, I had to carry him, and so we made that horrible call to
And you were just at a competition
the week before.
And he had done the best that he had.
Crushed it. He was so good. He was such a good boy. Oofda. Yeah, and so he like one of the events was criminal apprehension. So he would be sitting in a heel position, sitting next to me. And the bad guy is like 50 feet away with a big sleeve on his arm. And I would nod, and the bad guy would take off running. And so there were 3 aspects of that. The first aspect was, and they would draw cards. So you'd draw like false start, stay, and then recall. And then, false start, bite, and recall. And so you would draw these cards in whatever order.
Okay, yep.
And so like the false start, I would nod, the bad guy would run, and the dog had to stay.
Okay. Oh, false start.
Yeah, and then so the bad guy would run like 20 steps, stop, and then the exercise complete. Oh, go boy, go boy. And then the next one was bite, where I'd nod, the bad guy would run, get him, and the dog would take off and bite him, and then I'd run down afterwards and say, out, heel. So he'd release, heel, sit, and we had to pat down the bad guy.
Instantly.
Yeah, and then, it's supposed to be instantly.
Okay.
And so, and normally at our competitions, he'd love to bite. And so I would draw false start, bite, recall, and we would do bite, bite, bite. Because he just loved to bite.
Okay.
And so the recall was, where the guy is running, and halfway down, you're supposed to say, the judge drops his hand, you say, no, heel. So the dog's in full pursuit mode.
Right.
And then they're supposed to just break off, come back, and heel. And again, Quincy loved it. He was like, game on. And so on the recall, no, heel, bite. But on this last one, in late June, early July of 2003, he nailed the bite, bit really well, pulled off, did perfectly. The recall, he recalled. And I'm like, oh. And so there's a judge standing right behind me, and this judge behind me is like a super experienced St. Paul Police national champion, just a great guy. And so Quincy comes back and he heals, and I'm wigging out. I'm like, oh, come on. And we still had false start to do. And the judge is like whispering, settle down, settle down. You're getting him. I'm like, I don't care. You don't understand. I mean, he recalled, and you're just such a good boy. And then, of course, the false start, it was bite.
Bite.
And he's like, heck with this. I'm biting this guy. And but I didn't care. And then there's hurdles and boxes where bad guys are hiding in. And he was crushing it. Wow. And such a good boy. And so it was an awful experience, to make that decision to euthanize him. And so Tuesday then, I brought him to the vet, and we euthanized him. And so I put him back in the backseat of the squad car, and we'd already put a burial spot in our backyard. And that was so sweet, because I went lights and siren in the backyard, and some of the neighbor kids, he was a hero, like in our neighborhood and in our community. And so our family gathered, and we had a short little service, and had a little burial for him and stuff. And then I went back up into the house. And I don't write a lot of music. Music is a huge part of my life, but there was just a song burning in my head. And so I sat down with my guitar, and I had tears in my eyes, and a pen and my guitar, and I wrote a Quincy Boy song. And it was just like, as quickly as I could write it, just it just was there.
Just came.
Yeah.
Just came.
And but he was bigger than life. When we were on vacation, he was there with us. When I would go down to training, if it wasn't if it was all law enforcement related, but I'd go to training, even if it wasn't canine related, he would come with. And so we'd go into our hotel room, and it was the same thing every time, where I'd have 2 queen beds, and he'd go boing, boing, boing. He'd be bouncing on the beds. And then whatever one he settled in, I took the other one.
Okay.
And
that was the communicating between you two, you and Quincy boy.
He had such a personality.
Sure,
and, such a good boy.
How did you get into the canine, into that? I mean, that's a certain avenue to go down into. Did you get to choose that, or did you kind of get told to go down that avenue?
We didn't have a dog in this area, this whole region. And so I had worked with dogs before. I had seen them in action. And so I approached my police chief at the time.
What was your title at this time?
Patrol officer.
Patrol officer.
Yep.
So that's what you started. You said you did 3 years of corrections,
Yep.
and then you went into patrol.
Law enforcement. Yeah. Okay. Well, it was completely different agencies, and so I started working in corrections as a correctional officer in a county jail, and then a patrol officer, and I worked nights and weekends for 6.5 years. So my weekends, my days off for 6.5 years were Mondays and Tuesdays.
Okay.
And I loved it.
Okay.
It was everything I thought being a cop was going to be and more. It was exciting. And then a couple years into it, I had recognized that I was becoming good at what I was doing, very active in patrol, and I recognized that a canine partner would be a tool, and I thought this would be amazing. And I knew some canine handlers, and so I approached the chief, and because we didn't have a program, and nobody did around this area, and I said, hey, I've done some research, can we get a dog? And he said, wow, if you can raise the money, and because it's expensive.
It is, yeah.
So I went to a couple communities, and within 2 weeks, we had all the money raised. The community, came out in full force behind this thing.
Sure. And you were the forefront of that.
Yeah.
That is so amazing.
It was just an idea.
Sure. Yeah,
and then,
but you knew the idea was a needed idea for the area that you were in. Okay.
Yep.
And there wasn't any other K9 units within a 50-mile radius?
About 50, 60 miles, and nothing in this county, nothing in the neighboring counties.
How much did you raise?
Oh, I don't remember, but the dog was donated. Quincy his name was Jake.
Oh, okay.
When he was donated, but he was
how old?
He was about a little over a year old when we got him, and
that is amazing.
Yeah, and they don't do that anymore.
Sure.
They get them from breeders, but he was screened very carefully, and I would put him up against the top dogs in the world. I mean, he was so good. Yeah. And if we missed a bad guy, or if we missed drugs or missed something, that was on me. Because I didn't believe him or whatever. And I have so many stories of him.
Sure.
Like if he had, I swear he talked to me sometimes. Dude, you are missing this. And if I had a thumb, he was thinking, if I had a thumb, I could do this myself, but I don't have a thumb. So that's your job, you knucklehead. And, so we raised the money. And then there were a couple officers in our department that said, well, how come he gets to be the canine handler? And I said, let's open it up.
Sure.
I'll interview, I'll do whatever. And the chief said, no, you're the one that raised the money.
Absolutely,
it's your
idea.
But I was like, I don't want any animosity from the guys I work with. And,
sure, I understand.
But because then we had to be gone for 3 months down in Minneapolis, Monday through Friday. And we had just 2 boys at that time, and my oldest boy was at that age where, like, Sunday afternoon when I'd go back down to the cities, he'd grab onto my leg, and because he knew Dad was leaving. And I was like, oh, man, this is killing me. So 3 months I lived in Minneapolis.
But that's the protocol, or was at that time?
At that time, yeah.
For 3 months that you as the handler, and then the canine had to be trained.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was because I didn't know anything about being a handler, and Quincy didn't know anything about being a police dog.
Oh, sure.
So we learned together, and and it was, I think there was about 18 in our class, and it was fascinating. I learned so much about dog handling and all that, and it was was wonderful, but it was tough being away from home.
I was going to say, the way you explained that your oldest son clinging onto your leg, and those are memories that are etched in there that you feel bad about. But I mean, you had to be trained. I mean, that was part of the duty.
Yeah, and so hats off to my wife for my whole career. So I was gone twice for 3-month classes, one for Quincy and one for leadership training, and then all the other, like with Quincy for 7 years, call outs at 2:00 in the morning and whatever. And I would go get the call and go to the call, do whatever it is we needed to do. And I'd go home, and my wife, and I wasn't even recognizing this, but so she would be up for the initial phone call.
Sure.
And then I'd get home, and I didn't say anything. I didn't share anything. I didn't, because some of the experiences I had were not pleasant.
Sure.
And I didn't want to unload. And so I kept it all bottled up, and which was life lesson number 1, which I could have written a book on how not to handle stress and how not to,
Why did you bottle it up?
I don't know if it's the way I was brought up, or I never cried. I never showed emotion. I was the problem solver, as.
So people look to you for.
That's what I thought.
Sure.
when they call 911, they're not calling 911 because Billy got an A on his report card. Something's going wrong, and they need somebody to help figure out whatever it is that's going wrong in their life. And so I tried to embody that, and so I would handle all these calls and the gruesome things and the being in a smaller community. I knew a lot of the people where I would see them in their not so good moments where they were making bad choices, and then on Thursday I would see them at a high school event, and so knowing all of that, and then as we weren't from here, and so moving into the community, I was known as Officer Eggebraaten right out of the chute. It wasn't little Timmy from down the street, and so I came in here as a cop, and my persona then became that police officer in not always flattering ways. I mean, I developed an us versus them mindset pretty early on, and I see that still today in a lot of different people in a lot of different walks of life, or that whether it's politics or just life in general, Bemidji State University versus Moorhead State. And that us versus them, and
I got it.
Democrat, Republican, or whatever. Sure. And but I was really becoming the us part for me was my night shift partners. We were us, and then them was everybody else.
Sure, yeah.
And it felt like we fabricated almost all of it in our own minds.
Sure.
That well, even the administration's against us, the city's against us, the lawyers, all these people against us. Oh, poor us. And some of that's necessary.
But. So I'm going to interrupt you. So when you say that you fabricated that, you're recognizing that you fabricated it at that time,
right.
That it was us versus them. Why did you do that? What made you think you needed to do that?
Part of it's the nature of the beast, I think. When you're on a call and as a uniformed police officer, and we all do it. We see a person, and whether it's the color of their skin or the clothes that they're wearing or whatever, we automatically assume things about that person.
Okay.
So when people see a uniform, they automatically assume they know everything about me, and so that became part of my identity. That uniform, the badge, the gun.
Okay.
And in my mind, it was my job is to enforce the laws. I have to separate myself personally and develop this crust.
Okay.
And the crust is partly necessary. Nurses do it, teachers do it, we all do it in a certain extent, where we build this crust, but that crust is important at sometimes, but then it was carrying over into my off-duty time in my personal life. And people always say, well, when you get home, you wipe your feet off on the mat, and then you leave your work at work. Hogwash. You can't do that. I mean, you need to try to do something, but it's not that simple. And and I was horrible at it, you know, where so you go home, and I remember going home, and not all of it was bad, but I remember going home a lot of times, like after a bad domestic assault or something, and or if there were children involved, or the child was the victim, and I would go home and I'd sneak into my boys' rooms and I'd look at them sleeping, and I would just get this burning, like nothing's going to hurt these boys.
Protective.
And then as they grew older, they tease me about it now because they're all adults, but they say, like, they'll grit their teeth, and like I would say, you never hit a woman, and
sure,
and I'd be like drilling it into their head.
Sure. A little bit even more so than what was necessary or
Yeah.
needed. Yeah.
And,
okay, sure. Yeah. Because you saw the ugly part of it.
Yeah.
So you were trying to make sure that wouldn't ever come into their life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And
So I'm going to go back just a little bit. When you talk about, like, you put this crust on.
Yep.
I think let's explain that word crust.
Of course.
And you said teachers do it, nurses do it. So it's a crust, meaning like you have to deal with so much trauma, tragedy, gruesomeness, things like that. The average eye probably doesn't necessarily get to see ever.
Right.
So you have to separate that, and that's kind of a natural way of protecting yourself too. So that crust that you're talking about is just really kind of a protection for you, not necessarily us, the average citizen. It's for you to protect yourself. Well, then in the meantime, when you're creating this crust, you might send a vibe off that you don't care.
Yeah.
And you do.
Yeah.
Immensely.
For sure. Yeah.
But you're protecting your soul. So is that what you mean when you say, like, you're creating a crust?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And that whole idea that, I'm going to insulate, like bubble wrap, insulate myself so that I don't get personally attached, and so I can, remain objective. And because
I totally get it.
Yeah. So like a social worker, for example, that works in child protection all the time, where your job is going in, and you have to keep your focus. What's your focus? And the focus is helping families and helping these children. If you're in social work or whatever it is. So whatever your job is, you have to maintain some focus. But the problem that I was experiencing, that I see happening, is like let's use nurses as an example. Okay. So you want to be a nurse to help people.
Sure.
That's my job.
Right.
But then you have policies, and you have unions, and you have these rules from your entity, and then it becomes like, well, I just want to help these people, and then there's. And then if you get spit on by somebody that's, like, literally physically spit on by somebody that's not all there, and you can start getting this, and maybe it was an age group or a race or a certain whatever kind of group, and it can be easy to like assume that everybody within that group is going to spit on me, or they're not going to appreciate me, and I think with nurses, sometimes there's a clash between the doctors and the nurses. Like, the nurses are doing the groundwork, and the doctors come in and say, we're going to do this. And and some doctors are cool with, I appreciate that. And but we all do that. And so the crust then has to be, there has to be some kind of crust, because we do have to protect ourselves. But there also has to be a healthy release, whether it's meditation. I thought mindfulness and meditation, as a young police officer, if somebody would have introduced it to me, I would have thought, no way. It's just, it's hoopla, hippie, voodoo stuff, and and maybe it was, maybe I'd heard about it, I don't know, but it wasn't until late into my, when I was a police chief, that was introduced, and I thought, where has this been all my life?
Sure. So mindfulness.
Yeah.
And what was the other?
Meditation.
And meditation. Yeah. You're a big believer on that.
Huge believer.
Huge believer.
Game changer.
Game changer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Unreal. And I don't know that at 25 years old, if somebody had introduced it, I don't know that I would have been ready.
Sure.
Because it was like, let's go, game on.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
But then as a police chief, still doing law enforcement jobs, but then also managing people, oof, it was like some days felt like dragging a 600-pound anchor around. And so, yeah, mindfulness is huge.
I don't mean to cut you off,
You're
but
good.
you have you just dumped an enormous amount of information,
Yep.
For me to process and for our viewers to process. Thank you for your honesty.
Yeah.
The way you explained it, I understand it.
Yep.
But let's dig deeper,
Yeah.
dive a little bit deeper into some of that stuff. Mindfulness, meditation.
Yeah.
You said it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Can you, I think our viewers and myself, I think we know what mindfulness is, we know what meditation is, but when you say it's a game changer, to me, that's like, wow,
Yeah.
life-changing.
Yeah.
Tell me and explain to me, give me an example of what you would do then.
Yeah.
As when you said meditation,
Yeah.
is it just literally manhandling, like slowing down with your breathing, processing it? Give me an example of what you mean by that.
Oh, for sure. When I was police chief, we had regional police chiefs. We'd get together regionally and exchange ideas, and we hosted one in our city, and I was the host, and I brought in some instructors, and I wanted it different than these are the latest laws, and this is
Sure.
and so I brought in this guy who was a police sergeant. Yeah. That's not how we talk.
I just like, I don't know why that struck me as funny.
Yeah. So we brought in this police sergeant from Minneapolis who was a psychologist, and it was different. And so there was probably 20 police chiefs, like all my age, all white guys, similar experiences, similar backgrounds. So we're all sitting in this room, and this police sergeant comes in and he says, if you're comfortable, close your eyes and take a deep breath, and we're all kind of looking at each other like, there's no way.
Sure.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I don't know, I trust this guy. He was a sergeant.
Sure.
And I was like, well, he's one of us. And
Give it a whirl.
he's not going to draw pictures on my forehead when my eyes are closed or shave my eyebrows off. And so I did. And I was like, okay, well, give it a try. And he just did this exercise that he called Leaf on a Stream. And he just said, imagine, and he's walking us through, and his voice was calming. He had a deep voice, and started with a couple of breaths. And he said, imagine you're sitting by this stream. And I'm butchering it, but it was an experience. And he just said, watch this leaf and watch it go by. I think it was from left to right. And then the next time the leaf comes around in this stream, put something on it, whatever it is. Put the first thought on your head on it. And he gave us a purple elephant or something. Put a purple elephant. Now, the next time it comes around, put whatever you want on it. And so we did this exercise, and I was like, holy smokes, what just happened here? And I could feel like tension releasing, and I could feel focus. And so I called him like 6 months later. I'm like, what was that? And how do I learn more about it? And he said it was mindfulness, and it was a leaf on a stream exercise. And so I Googled it, and I learned more about it, and started practicing it a little bit then. But it wasn't until I retired that I really started to apply it, like a daily practice, and just like 15 minutes a day. And now, at this stage of life, like when I'm driving in a large city or something, in May, I was in New York at a speaking event. So I flew into LaGuardia, rented a car, and I'm driving in New York City. Never done that before. And
So your anxiety is a little high.
It wasn't, though. That's the thing.
Okay.
It was like, man, this is amazing.
You were controlling it.
Yeah, and it was, now it's, I don't want to say it's autopilot because it's not. It's still an intentional thing. And I've done the national anthem before, like 35,000 baseball fans at the Twins, you know, and stuff. And it's just this like and it's quick, and it's like a breath. I think of, I can get myself, because of training, I can get myself to a state of, I don't even want to say relaxation. It's really hard to explain, and I'm not doing a good job explaining it, because even the people that do it daily and that are experts at it, it's something you have to experience for yourself, and it's not hippie voodoo stuff.
No.
But like, so here I am driving in New York, and I'm giggling because I'm thinking, how do these people know me? You know, all these people know that Tim Eggebraaten's in New York City because they're all honking at me. And I'm thinking, this is pretty cool. You know, hey, taxi driver, how you doing? You know, and they're like, everybody's honking on their horns. And I'm like, yeah, you know, and it's not la-la, you know, like where I'm just floating. And I drive in the cities a lot, in the Twin Cities. And I recognize now that literally each moment is a gift. And it's, and I'm going to take this gift. I'm going to be present. And one of my, she's my future daughter-in-law now, but she always talks about be where your feet are at. And, you know, and that's not her saying, but it's like what she says, and I've adopted it, like be where your feet are at. And so instead of me, you know, sitting right here having this conversation with you, I could be thinking about something that happened yesterday, or I could be thinking about something that's going to be maybe happening this week or whatever. But right now I'm enjoying this conversation.
Be where your feet are at.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to that leaf in the the river.
Yeah.
Leaf
on a stream. Yeah.
Leaf on the stream.
Yep.
I really like that because I think it's a visual. So you visual. And I'm sure when you were young and they introduced it to you, you're like you explained, I like the way you said it, you know, like, oh, what's going on with this guy or whatever. But I mean, just visualizing that leaf floating, you know, on a stream, and everybody can have like, is the sun shining? You know, it certainly wasn't raining when you explained it to me in my vision. This was just a really beautiful leaf in the stream floating by. You said that you needed some age on you, some experience on you. So I'm thinking about like, you know, when you started into law enforcement, you were like, game on, let's go, and you were excited. Somebody comes into your, you know, meeting, office, training, or whatever, and says, here's a leaf on the river. You probably would have maybe perhaps looked at that guy like, I am not going to engage in this at all. I don't know why we're doing this when you were younger. But sometimes when you're older and you have some of those things, experiences under your belt, all of a sudden now, this leaf in the stream, you realize why you might need to utilize some of that stuff. So I'm thinking of like a young rookie, brand new, ready to go. What advice would you have to him when it comes to this mindfulness thought process?
Give it a look. I feel like our lives are these multi-pieced puzzles, and so each experience is like a puzzle piece, and so it might not make sense at that time, but books that we read or lectures that we attend or people that we meet on the street or whatever, everything, in my opinion, is for a purpose, and it applies a little puzzle piece. And even the bad experiences, like the mistakes that we made, the bad choices, whatever, is still a puzzle piece. And you know, many of the puzzle pieces for me involved alcohol from 12 years old to 51 years old. And so they're all puzzle pieces. And finally, there was a puzzle piece that was put in that it made sense to me that I need to figure out why I'm drinking so much and what is going on here. And so the book process, writing my book, helped me step back and look at this puzzle, and clearly all the pieces aren't there yet, but they won't be there ever. But it's so I think for a young police officer or a young teacher or a young nurse or a young whoever, a young person in high school that's wondering, I don't, you know, there's all this pressure on what am I going to be when I grow up, you know, and take the puzzle pieces, don't worry about it. And take a step back somehow, and try to get a look at what you have so far on that puzzle. And you don't need to have, you're not going to have all the pieces. But so for a police officer or somebody in a high stress environment, for sure, maybe somebody watching this right now, is take a step back, get a book, read or listen to a podcast about meditation. There are apps. I've done a couple of free apps, and then I paid for some apps that Headspace was the first one that I found, and it's simple. It needed to be simple for me because I'm not a complicated person. It needed to be easy, simple, and easy, and accessible. And then I needed to tell myself I need to carve out 15 minutes in my morning or whenever to do this. And so if you are thinking about it, if you're watching this is a puzzle piece. And so try it, and give it some time. And what it did for me was it silenced a lot of things. And you're not controlling your mind. It's not a mind control thing. It's not like I'm repressing thoughts.
Sure.
I did that my whole career. I've shoved everything down, and so finally I was able to replay some of the videos in my mind that I had tried to if the video started to play in my mind, I would shut it off.
When you say a video of a bad stuff, that's like a scene you went to, a crash site that you saw, something like that, and you would push that down. I hear that often in your career in law enforcement. Why do we do that? Why is it that you do that? Why do we want to push it down? Are we trying to we've got the next call that we need to get to? Is that why? Or is it just hard for us to process that? Why do we all do that? I think not only in law enforcement, but I mean, losing my husband, I mean, sometimes, it was very difficult to face things. You want to kind of push that down. So is it just a natural thing that I don't know why we do that?
Yeah, I think it's a coping mechanism, where some of it is, when it's extreme trauma, you have to do something. I mean, it has to, but to, so you're putting it somewhere safe for now. And so for me, I've learned that I push it into my gut, I mean, it just, that's where it naturally feels like it's going. And so I think that's part of a coping mechanism. But then to recognize that it's there, and that's where, through help from other people, by sharing with somebody else, by seeking help, and recognizing that. So for me, it had been over 20 years of trauma boiling up, and then in 2012, one of my best friends and partners of 19 years died by suicide. And I was there, and it was, so that was one of those videos. And then all of a sudden that was in May of 2012. And so for that summer, I had all these videos playing in my head and everything was bubbling over.
Sure. So that incident brought all those 20 years up then.
It was, there's no more stuffing going on because it's bubbling over, and I thought, I am losing it. Okay. And so I was starting to get
When you say you're losing it, can you explain that to me? What that means to you?
Well, crazy is not a good word, but I thought that I was having some kind of a mental crisis.
Okay.
And because these videos were popping up, I'd have nightmares and daymares, where I'd be doing my daily activities, and then these color videos would be playing from different events, and I'd try to relax. So I would take a bath, and then in my mind, it was real. I mean, it seemed like it was real, but it was all in my mind. Like the bathtub would be full of blood, and these just horrible things. And so I started thinking, oh my gosh. And so we had another one of these regional chiefs conferences, and we were hosting it again. And so I was the host, and our chaplain from our association came up to me, and we were having a social gathering, and he said, "How you doing, Tim?" And I said, "I'm great, Dan. How are you?" He said, "How you doing, Tim?" Like, "I'm awesome, Dan. How are you?" And he's like, "How you doing, Tim?" So where are you going with this, Dan? What's going on? I found out years later that one of the other assistant chiefs, a friend of mine, had said to the chaplain, "You know, Tim's been hit by a couple of trains. I was a brand new police chief, like 10 months into it. And he said, Tim's been hit by a couple of trucks here, and I think he might need some help." And I didn't know it. You know, I thought I was, let's go, let's do this thing.
So you thought you were still, let's do this thing, but you're still having all these nightmares.
Yeah, everything.
All of that. But you still are, I'm trying to get into your head here of like, so this is happening,
dark and scary.
Tim.
Be careful.
Okay. This is happening, Tim.
Yeah.
I mean, your tub is full of blood, is visuals. I mean, there's things that are coming, vivid things coming up.
Yeah.
And this chaplain asks you, "How you doing, Tim?" 3 times.
Right.
And you're still saying, "I'm doing well."
Yeah.
What's up, Dan? I'm doing fine.
Standing,
Okay, right there.
Yeah.
Explain that to me. Why did you do that? Why do we all do that? Why did you do that?
It's stubbornness. It's not, probably not emotional intelligence, that where I wasn't being honest with myself, where I was still in chief of police mode. It's like, I can't worry about me. I have a team. I have my family. I have my friend's family to be thinking about. And all of these, it was everybody else but me, my citizens of Detroit Lakes, the people that employed me. And I was still trying to figure out the chief of police thing.
But you go to training. Literally to watch for the stuff that was happening to you.
Not so much at that time, because we were still kind of in a suck it up buttercup mindset as a law enforcement community. There were a few mavericks out there that were starting to talk about emotional health and wellness, but it was still pretty new.
Okay.
And because it was even at my friend, I'll call him my brother because he wasn't my biological brother, but he was like a brother to me. At his suicide, there were officers. I mean, we're a tight community, and there were officers that it was challenging for all of us. But there were some leaders that were saying, "Suck it up, Buttercup." Not those words, but basically, you got a job to do. And I get that because we do have a job to do. We can't just curl up and just say, "Oh, this is too emotionally stimulating for me," or whatever. We can't. We have to do something. But there's going to be a time where you have to acknowledge. And for me, it was that summer of 2012.
How old were you at that time?
2012, 46, I guess. And so I was like, okay, something's going on. And so the chaplain gave me a phone number for this Minneapolis police sergeant that I had talked about that introduced mindfulness after that. But he said, everything's quiet. It's under the table. You pay him cash. Nobody's going to know. Because that was a big concern, too, is with wellness and mental health. What if people find out? There's the chief. He's crazy. And that's on us again, where we're thinking the worst possible scenario that, oh my gosh, people are going to think less of me because I can't handle this. Other cops, they're doing it all the time and they can handle it. They're tough. But the divorce rate in law enforcement's off the charts. Alcoholism is off the charts. And so they're not handling it, and clearly but that was my mindset. Oof, let's go. I got
manhandle it.
Yep, more crushed. And so I sat with this phone number for a couple of months and never called him. And I called a local psychologist in our community that I'd known. He was a part-time police officer. I trusted him. But I sat in my office, I locked the door, and I felt like a teenage kid calling the cute girl for the first time, and I was nervous, and I'd dial a few numbers, and I'd hang up, pick up the phone, dial a few numbers, hang up, and I finally made the call, made the appointment to go see this psychologist, and I went in to my appointment in full uniform, white shirt, gold badge. People knew me in the community as the police officer, the police chief, and the entertainer. Oh, there's Tim, he's the singer, and there's Tim, he's the chief. And so I'm walking into my local community clinic, and in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to check into the desk. If I have a boo-boo on my arm that needs help, I'm going to go over here and on the left and sit with the people with other boo-boos. If I talk about my head, that my head, something's not quite right, I go over here and sit with the people on the right that need their head checked. It's not reality, but in my mind I was thinking, oh my Lord, someone's going to call 911 because the police chief is in here and he's sitting with these people on the right that are here to get their head checked. He's got a gun. And but that's not reality. And I remember filling out the paperwork, and I'm thinking, thanks a lot, Doc. You know, a little professional courtesy would have been great for him to open up the alley door and I could sneak in the back and nobody would have known it. But that was all part of the process. So we sat for an hour and I said, told him all these videos that were going on in my head. And I'm like, do I have PTSD? I had heard the phrase. I didn't know anything about it. He said, I don't think so. I don't think you have PTSD. If you still are watching these videos like 6 years from now or whatever, maybe. But he described the trauma process in our brains as like a funnel. And he said the trauma goes into the funnel. A normal, healthy brain, everybody experiences some trauma. The normal, healthy brain processes this trauma and it comes out of the bottom of the funnel into normal, healthy thought. And for me, I had over 20 years of stuff that was getting shoved into that hopper and it wasn't getting dealt with. The alcohol wasn't helping. The not talking about it wasn't helping. And then so my brother's suicide was like the last little thing that tried to get shoved into this funnel, and I was bubbling over.
Well, and there was the valve, it was
plugged. Oh, it was plugged up.
It wasn't coming out into healthy. Okay.
So then he was the one that said too, so my psychologist doctor friend said, sit with those videos, watch them through. Like when you see them in your mind, don't try to immediately shut them off, which is what I was doing. I was like, up, get out of there. And then I'd do something to distract myself. And so then I sat with those videos, started watching them through and
taking one at a time.
Yeah, one at a time. And then he said, start talking about it if you're comfortable with it. And so I remember one of the first times sitting in our police department garage, and we had just, I don't remember what the call was, but it was not fun. And the officers were standing there, and I remember saying to one of the officers, "How you doing?" And we just didn't do that at that stage of our existence.
Right.
And it felt awkward for me saying that.
Why did you say that?
Because it was part of the process, and I had already gone through my stuff, and the psychologist said, start talking about things, and if there's an experience, talk about
it.
And
so when you're talking about the videos in your head, it's the memories that, and like, can you see the color?
Everything, color, smells, sounds, everything.
So when it's in this funnel, packed in this funnel, and you still can smell, know the color of the sky, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
All the things going around, they're all packed in here. So what your psychologist is telling you that you have to pull out one story at a time and relive that one story, pulling out the smell, everything that you have packed in there.
Yeah.
And you have 20 years of this.
Right.
Did that seem overwhelming to you? When you had to start doing that project that your psychiatrist gave to you to do?
No, because it was less of me pulling out but more of when it happens, when I'm seeing it, just to acknowledge it and sit with it. And so my friend's suicide, I'm reliving it right now. I mean, it's full color. It's everything in my head. I speak nationally, like around the country, and I share a message. And part of the message is involving my friend's suicide, and then my dad passing away. And so they're emotional, and I'm reliving it every single time, and I'm very good with it right now because I'm comfortable with it. Because of that, I began talking about it and sharing it, where it's not, it's less of a, I got to shove this back or down, back down and where it belongs and keep it locked up.
But Tim, I'm thinking about somebody that's just beginning this climb.
Yeah.
However many years, is that what, maybe 12 years ago for you? 15 years ago?
Yeah.
So somebody that has this funnel, it's plugged, it's got 20 years in there.
Yeah.
I'm just going to insert a little bit of a personal, that's why I'm asking these questions, because people that really are identifying this situation have their own way of explaining it. Right. So I want to make sure that I get right into this spot here. Somebody that's brand new at this and is like, you know what, I'm drinking too much. I am, seeking other ways to handle this problem. And it's coming, these videos that you call, they're just scenarios, is what situations that you had in your life is what you refer to them as videos. So somebody that's brand new at it, it is so extremely intimidating and very, very scary. Yeah. But it's just take one video at a time, one issue, one situation at a time, process that. It hurts so badly, and it's very scary, I'm sure, for you when you started doing that. So it's normal to feel that. Don't be afraid of it. For somebody that's doing this for the first time, what I think I'm hearing you say is just endure that, process it, and it's not going to, it will always happen. Like you just said, you still see things, but you can handle it because you took one at a time when you first started doing this, one at a time. I had gone through a lot of, when I was a child, sexual abuse and other abuse. And I remember when I was 30 years old, when I started processing it, I called it a big ball of string. Yeah. That's how I call it. And it was right here, like a big basketball. But it was a bunch of string. Yeah. And I had to pull one string out. And that was one emotion. It was one scenario, one abuse at a time. Right. That's how I word it. Yeah. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to make it very normal for, I don't know if you're a abuse survivor, but you're you're a survivor in trauma. So everybody has their way of doing it. But the thing is, it's the hard part, is you've got to pull one string out or you've got to take one video at a time, I think, is what I'm hearing you say. Totally. And it is painful. Yeah. It is very difficult to do that. I remember when I was going through it, my psychiatrist gave me a book, and I was reading some of it in there, and it's one phrase I'll always remember. She was explaining that she was sexually abused by her father. And it hit me so profound because that's what had happened to me. But I had never talked about it. So that one phrase hit me like a freight train. Yeah. And I remember I had my head down in my lap, and I was crying for like 10 minutes. And I sat back up, and she said, "You did it, Sarah." And I was like, "Did what? I almost died." Yeah. Because it was that one visual for 10 minutes sat there in my head, and she knew what was probably happening, but I didn't know she knew what was happening at the time. Tim, I am so thankful that you exposed this and opened that spot up, because I think it is so important that people that are dealing with, I don't care what you want to call it, I mean, trauma, survival of any kind of abuse, yours wasn't, abuse in that sense, but it was traumatic events that just kept getting put into that funnel.
Yeah.
And to open that up and how to articulate that is so, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, and you just did it. So
Yeah.
thank you very much. And I also think that when you say, it was a chaplain that said, "How are you doing, Tim?"
Yeah.
How are you doing, Tim? And you said, fine. We're all fine.
Right.
But we're not.
No.
And sometimes we have to open that up. And how you do that, how a person does that, that's their own individual way of doing it.
Right.
So thank you. I appreciate that very much for opening that up. That's a big part of it. But I do want to go back to one thing. You talked about alcohol.
Yeah.
That was your release, because alcohol, just at the end of a shift or a weekend or whatever, you would drink.
Yeah.
And then that would calm you down. But then did it get to be too much?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and what I recognized, what I learned about myself through the book writing process. And so, whether you're journaling, people that journal and write things down, something happens in our when we're thinking about it and when we put it onto paper or onto a computer. But while I was doing that process of writing my book, I recognized that I'm introverted, and people, like even my wife, when I would say I'm introverted, and people that know me are like, "No, you're not." But I'm socially extroverted. Like I can entertain and I love being around people, but then I need to get like back to my, I don't need anybody right now.
Right.
When COVID hit, I was like, A-okay, like, woohoo, I'll go to my mailbox and back, and I don't have to see people, but I love seeing people. So I recognized that when I was 12 years old and I was introduced to alcohol with some friends, all of a sudden it was leveled the playing field, where I was like, we had something in common, and then throughout my life, if I was ever uncomfortable in a situation, grab a Miller Lite and or a whiskey, and then all of a sudden I could talk to anybody. And I remember when I quit drinking, it was because of an arrest. And so here's the former chief of police getting arrested for DWI, and it was like another wake-up call that had many warnings and stuff up to that point. But then, and it was like, okay, some soul-searching time. And when I discovered that, people said, "Well, Tim, are you still going to be funny? Like when you're playing your music and stuff?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I thought it was part and parcel of my gigs. I was doing 130 shows a year, 4-hour shows. And they all involved drinking except for the nursing homes. But I was like, and they all involved booze. I thought, I don't know. We'll find out. And what I found out, and by some soul searching and honesty to myself, was that it had nothing to do with, it just made me feel more comfortable, but it had nothing to do with my shows. My shows are 100 times better. My fingers don't slur. And it's like, and it's, the pack up and everything's better, way better. And but so when I recognized that, one of the first conferences I went to as a professional speaker, I was at this conference with all these other professional speakers. I'd just been a few months sober, and so I'm walking around, and everybody's paired off. I've never been to a conference. I was like, I am so out of my element. What am I doing here? These aren't my people. I don't belong. So I went back to my room, and I thought, this is stupid. I need to go home. But I had my guitar with me, and I went on to Facebook, and there was a group for professional speakers that played music. And they said, "Hey, we're jamming in room whatever at this conference in Denver." Okay. And so I thought, so I grabbed my guitar. I went down to this room, and I found my people. I'm like, oh my gosh. And we're going down in a couple of weeks to Phoenix for another conference. And like I found my people, and I felt comfortable in my own skin. I didn't need alcohol.
When you say your own people, what does that what does that mean? Who were your people? Who were your
like
people?
I belonged, like people that
music.
Yeah, music. They were musicians. They were professional.
Okay.
These are some. I mean, there were Grammy Award musicians that were there. That they had won Grammys. And
were they drinking?
No.
And they weren't drinking. Okay, so
some
music.
were. I mean, some had bourbon or whatever, and But it was more of like, I don't need alcohol. I don't even need my guitar, you know, and because then my guitar can become that surrogate too. Like, well, if I don't have my guitar, who am I?
Oh,
you know, but then, so
Sure.
each step, and I'm still learning, you know, I'm still trying to get out of my head, like, well, who am I? When I was the police chief, I'd go to these huge chiefs conferences, and there'd be the Minneapolis chief would be there, and I'd be like, well, who am I? I'll never do what they do, you know, and it's just that silly self-doubt talk that I think we all do, and I'm like the king of it, you know. I was just like, oh yeah, who am I? And but every day I feel like, well, no, I do belong. I've earned a seat at the table. I've earned it, whatever, you know, and just telling ourselves that, not in a boastful way, but in a humble way, like, yeah, well, I do have a message. I have been given gifts, whatever whether the gift is storytelling or music or just listening or whatever the gift is. Each and every one of us has a gift. Each and every one of us has to recognize that we have a gift. So many people would say, oh, but Tim, you play guitar. I don't play guitar. Shut up. You don't have to play guitar, you know.
Well, I think the message that you're saying too is that you're the king of self-doubt. And then somebody looks at you and says, you can play guitar.
Yeah.
So look at, like, well, you can turn around and look at that person and say, well, you have whatever it is, you know, that they can. So I think the message that you want to say is, like, you're the king of self-doubt.
Yeah.
And you're able to face those fears of self-doubt, find out what is going to work for you, and keep moving forward.
Right.
Like we had talked very early on, it was about be where your feet are.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you said? Yeah. I love that. Be where
Yeah.
your feet are.
Oh, yeah.
And then be in that moment. I always think about, I know it's so cliche about being in the moment, but the older I get, whatever I'm doing, just be in that moment, not always searching and looking for something bigger or more.
Yeah.
But I also think that comes a little bit with age.
Yeah.
So you got a DUI.
Yeah.
Was that a time and a changing point in your life?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Another puzzle piece.
Another puzzle piece. Thank you for being honest.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think really that makes somebody of in your position relatable to anybody.
Yeah.
You know, if anybody drinks, we all probably at some point in time probably should have gotten a DUI or been in that. So nobody should be thinking they're any bit better. But the fact that you're out here saying that was a turning point, I also want to pull out sometimes what happened in life to us, what happens to us in life where we have something really negative, be it was done to us or we did it, whatever it is, something that we can look back and say, well, that was really stupid. You know, that was a terrible mistake.
Yeah.
But I think, looking back on my life, a lot of the things that I went through and weathered that were extremely difficult were the lessons in life that I learned the most from.
Yeah.
And I think people need to be more honest about that. You know, we all want great days. We all want those days where everything flows nicely. But I think our greatest lessons are learned from our own mistakes and also to pick up and to keep going.
Yeah.
Don't be, I mean, we all make mistakes.
Right.
And then, you know, you're always going to have people that are going to pick you apart in life. Anybody in life has those moments where somebody's going to say, you know, you shouldn't have done that, or you should have done that, or whatever it was. But a true leader can get up from a mistake and say, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. But that was one of the greatest things in my life that I learned from.
Yeah.
Isn't that a wonderful message?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I believe that events in life and choices happen for us and not to us. And it's,
I like that.
I really believe that. And
I love that.
So I get a survey when I'm doing my speaking engagements, and some people have taken issue with that, and that's them. I mean, that's up to them. It's my belief that my everything. I mean, the death that has happened around me, the trauma, the everything has happened for me, and I'm waiting for a fuse for my time machine. And when I get that fuse, if I can go back in time, I still wouldn't change anything. I really wouldn't. And even the stuff that I've said in that have hurt people, I'm embarrassed by it and whatever, but I can't undo it. And even if I could, then I don't know that I would be who I am today. And when we were ready for the book to come out, my wife, it involves her, it involves our family. It was very open. And I was like, ugh. And that's why it took like 8 years to finally hit submit to get, send it out there. But the day we were ready to do it, my wife and I talked a lot about it because it's my story, but it involves other people.
Sure.
And so we hit send to the publisher together. And it was like, okay, well, there's no turning back now. And the response from that book and from sharing, from being honest, when I started speaking professionally, I was hesitant about talking about mental health and suicide and my failures and my lessons, and because it was like, I wanted to talk about sunshine and lollipops.
Right.
But I was told by some critical people in my life that unless or until you're ready to be like open with other people, that's going to help you like personally, but it's going to help other people. And there's a lot of times where I'll be speaking to an audience and my audience is there and they're my target. But then I'll have like a server that has been cleaning tables or something that will come up afterwards and say, sorry, I'm not part of this group, but what you said hit me. And I'm like, I'm done. What else is there? And
because you helped one person.
Yeah. And and again, we all have gifts that other people are going to benefit from us sharing.
One person.
Yeah.
One person.
Yeah.
If you can touch one person and help them.
Yeah.
Your message.
Yeah. So who knows who's going to watch this?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And it's like
unbelievable.
Yeah. So kudos to you for doing this and for throwing this out there and providing this platform. And
you have been just you're just incredible. I really,
thank you.
Your honesty is
we haven't even
mind-blowing.
done the magic yet, so
yeah, your honesty is mind-blowing. And you're always going to have people that to somebody that's so honest and that is so open and wanting to help. And that message of one person is so critical, I think, coming from you. It's just, it's truthful. It's from the heart. I want to thank you so much for doing this. But I have a favor to ask of you.
Anything.
You've talked so much about music.
Yeah.
And could I ask you, would you please play us something?
No.
Did you bring your guitar?
No.
You didn't bring your guitar?
I did too. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right. Cassie, can we stop and see if we can get that set up? And I would love to, you pick.
Yeah.
You surprise me.
Oh, I got the song.
I love it. I would like you to do that. Please?
I would be honored to.
All right.
Let me know when you're ready, boss.
I'm ready.
All right. So this is a song that I wrote with a friend of mine, and my mom was one of the most positive people on the planet, and so she used to tell us whenever challenges would come up that we'd respond with, I am, I can, I will. And Mom died about 9 years ago, and so probably about 5 years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night. So in addition to the videos that are playing in my head all the time, I have a song in my head like all the time.
You got a lot of stuff going on in
your
your head, Tim, don't you?
And like I said earlier, like from my brain to my mouth, there's not much space.
Sure, yeah.
I just go, bleh, it
just
comes
comes
right
out.
And,
we like that. We like it.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, be who you are.
So I woke up in the middle of the night, probably about 5 years ago, and I had this tune in my head. It was just, I am, I can, I will. And it was running in my head, so I got onto Zoom at the daybreak and got a hold of a friend of mine in Minneapolis. I said, brother, would you help me write a song that encapsulates my mom's mantra of I am, I can, I will. So we talked about my mom, and we came up with this song, and it goes like this. When I was young, my mama said, sometimes are good, sometimes are bad, and sometimes you can't control what's going on. Yeah, but you can always choose how you're gonna roll along. So whenever you're down or troubles arise, more cloudy days than sunny skies, to sing this song to get you over that hill. I sing I am, I can, and I will. Well, I am, I can, and I will. One day the doctor said, Mama, I'm afraid you got cancer bad. He said, Mama, wish there was something I could do. Well, she said, do what you can, I'm gonna choose my attitude. 'Cause whenever I'm down or troubles arise, more cloudy days than sunny skies, I sing this song because it leaves me fulfilled. I sing I am, I can, and I will. Well, I am, I can, and I will. Now, my mama'd be the first to say, put them rose-colored glasses away and face the truth of whatever's going down. While the world spins, you can keep your feet on the ground. So whenever you're down or troubles arise, more cloudy days than sunny skies, sing this song to get you over that hill. Sing I am, I can, and I will. Well, I am, I can, and I will. Ooh, one more time, I am, I can, and I will. Good night, everybody. Drive safe.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that song, I'm starting to get requests for it now. Mm-hmm. And I had one woman in Hutchinson blurt out, I am, I can, I will. And I'm like, how do you know? Mm-hmm. And she said she remembered, it was on NPR radio. And she remembered where she was, the time, the day when she first heard it. And I'm like, it is. It's crazy. And so, you know, back to what we were talking about before the cameras were rolling too, about like creatives and stuff. We can stifle ourselves, and but to keep throwing ideas out there in music and stories and poems and writings and whatever our gifts are, and the reaction that song has on people has just been profound. And people coming up and saying, like, everybody's going through something. And when I tell the little story about my mom and the story, the background behind the song, I can see people in the audience like, I can, I will. It's like, yes, get after it. And I just like, what else is there again? It's like, there's nothing better than leaving that impression on somebody, that giving them that confidence that, yeah, you know what, you are, you can, and you will. Get after it.
I want to just expound a little bit on that. After I lost my husband, Brad, I lost my whole world, everything that I ever knew. And now, as sad as that was, that gave me an entirely different light of, I can't lose anything more.
Right.
So I'm going to try everything and anything I want right now. Anything that I am dreaming of, any vision that I have, I'm throwing it all out there because I have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So anybody that, you know, is thinking or dreaming of something, what are you going to lose, you know, in life? Tim, thank you so much,
thank you so much
for joining me on Real Feel Insights. This has been just, I just am so excited to be able to air this and see how many people this touches. So thank you, Tim, very much for joining me on Real Feel Insights.
Thank you, Sarah.